Well, everyone, that just happened. As you can see by the title, I'm sorry if it spoiled it. It turns out Negan actually killed Alpha. Originally, I actually made a video saying that Negan will kill Alpha, like in the comics, and that's sort of what happened. But it came out of nowhere. But obviously, before we get into this Walking Dead discussion, make sure to give it a like and subscribe and follow for more Walking Dead discussions as I'm going to slap them out throughout the week. So, yeah, let's just get into the video. So I feel like the story will definitely go in a strange direction. Like, Beta will become the main man now, and Beta will want to get revenge on Negan. I discussed this in the last episode, but I really am a strong believer that Beta will want to get revenge on Negan. In what way? I don't know how. I feel like there'll be some kind of face-off between them both. I don't know when. This will probably be in episode 16 when there's a bunch of fighting going on. I feel like there'll be a face-off between them, but I feel like it would be very strange and very basic for the story if Negan is the one to kill Beta. I feel like he'll die in another way, maybe from Daryl, maybe from Carol, maybe because Carol's wanted to get revenge on these Whisperers. But it is strange. Obviously, everybody probably wanted Carol to kill Alpha, but that was obviously Walking Dead had to make it too a bit complex. And the fact that they're working together, which you can clearly see through this episode, nobody would have guessed that. You cannot tell me you guessed that. Like, if you, there's no hints at all. Maybe they got let out of prison and Carol's making very stupid decisions, but this is one decision that you really didn't see happening. Come on, you cannot tell me you expected that to happen because you didn't. But yeah, so I go on a full-on rant this episode. Well, I just talk a lot, so make sure we give this a watch, and let's just delve into that. Obviously, a big surprise. So in the next section of this Walking Dead discussion, like I said, it's going to be a long one. God knows how long. We're going to discuss the episode as a whole, not just the alpha scene. So, as you know, Sunday night's episode of The Walking Dead was one of the strongest of the season and one of the best episodes since Angela Kang took over. Kang or King, I don't know how you say your name, from Scott Gimple. I mean, it was definitely the best episode. It was it was a brilliant episode in my opinion. They bigged it up to be a good episode throughout the episode itself. They were building up the tension. People were dying left, right, and centre. What was it? That old man who was looking after the kids. I don't know his name. I'm sorry. He got bit. Judith dealt with her. Gamma died, which, like I said, I'll discuss in another episode. And Alpha died. There was many deaths in this episode, and just many different things going on at the same time. I mean, it was a fantastic episode. There were a lot of head fakes along the way, but what a glorious conclusion. It's no secret that I've been fed up with the Whisperer story and Alpha in particular. She's so ridiculous, and this second all-out war between our heroes and the Whisperers, following so close on the heels of the Saviour War, is just too much. Now, at least it may be racing towards the finish line, thank God. We'll start with the end and work backward. Negan, it turns out, has been working against Alpha this entire time. He was released from the Alexandria prison by Dat Carroll on one condition, that he'd go and infiltrate the Whisper account, sweet allegiance to Alpha, and then, when the opportunity arose, kill her. Yep, Carroll decided, you know what, I'm going to let him out. She was the one who let him out. That's it. We know the story now. In order to make this plan happen, Carol needed to turn a whisperer and she needed Lydia to run away. She achieved this by one fell swoop by showing Lydia to Gamma without warning Lydia first. Gamma's faith was shaken and she came over to the good guys. Lydia's faith was also shaken and she ran off into the woods where she would, alter A, save Daryl, a happy coincidence, and B, get taken by prisoner Negan, another happy coincidence, since it would have been much worse if Beta found her. But I guess that was the risk. Alpha just needed to know that Lydia was in the wind so that Negan could convince her that he'd capture her. Meanwhile, Negan would interrogate himself with Alpha and earn her trust. One way to do this suggests that Gamma was a spy. Something that turned out to be true, thanks to Carol. He succeeded at this more than even he could have even hoped, earning not only her trust, but her reward as well. Still can't get that image out of my head. Once he earned that trust, he pretended that he'd captured Lydia and lure Alpha out to her location. Then he actually did capture her, almost certainly helping to save her by hiding away from Beta and the others was an added benefit, but not necessary for the plan. It added some dramatic urgency. However, we see Negan taking Alpha to where he's apparently keeping Lydia. He's trying to convince her not to kill the girl, but Alpha blabs on about destiny and the cryptic mumbo jumbo. And while I was pretty sure he wasn't talking to her into the right place, I can see some people might have thought that Lydia is frantically trying to escape from a small shack somewhere. Just as Negan and Alpha arrive at the small shack in the woods, the fact that he's trying to talk her out the bloody business makes it seem like he's really trying to bring her to Lydia. And of course, as we found out, he's not. Lydia escapes and breaks out the shack, and nobody's there. At the same moment, Alpha stares into an empty room, confusion rippling across her face. She turns to Negan questioningly, and he slits her throat. It's an interesting callback to when Rick slit Negan's throat at the end of the war, only Rick didn't cut very deep. Negan's was a killing blow. This was a great scene, even if he did suspect that Negan was playing Alpha and planned to kill her. It got even better when he showed up with a rendezvous with Carol and tossed Alpha's zombified head on the ground in front of her. And then Carol said, "Took you long enough." Two thoughts. First, I love that Carol and Negan planned this whole thing and worked together to take down Alpha in such a spectacular fashion. It's not a necessarily huge surprise. After all, somebody let Negan out, and Carol is exactly that kind of reckless, vengeful, but it's still great. Like we saw throughout the season, it was sort of hinting at that. She is very reckless and vengeful. You couldn't really put two of the puzzles together. I don't think anybody did at the beginning of the season. I mean, why would Carol let Negan out? I mean, they've never even met. Like, you've never seen any scene but this one with them both together. Well, never mind. They did. Secondly, I'm not sure how to reconcile this boss Carol with the weepy, idiotic Carol that almost got everyone killed in the caves. I mean, are we still supposed to forgive Carol for getting Alpha killed? Because she's got other characters killed, such as Connie. I mean, Connie was a well-loved character, especially by Daryl. But Daryl obviously said, "I'm never going to hate you" in one of the previous episodes. But I still feel like he really dislikes Carol at the moment. Like, I don't think they're going to talk for the rest of the season at all. And Carol obviously got everyone killed in the caves. Was she pretending? I don't think that makes sense. But if she wasn't pretending, how is she both operating this badass secret mission with Negan and then screwing up so badly with Daryl? It doesn't add up. I'm curious of what you all think about this because it really doesn't add up. Why she would mess up so badly. My theory is that she wasn't confident in Negan killing her. I feel like Negan was supposed to kill Alpha very quickly. I feel like Carol was definitely waiting for Negan to kill Alpha, but then he took so long. So then Carol obviously probably lost a bit of faith in Negan and then decided to try and go kill her herself. Or she was just so she could not wait for Negan to kill Alpha to the fact where she just wanted to kill her herself. She did not want to wait for Negan to kill Alpha. I don't think she could, but you never know. The Whisperer Warriors are not over, of course, not yet. Beta is still out there and he's thirsty for revenge in a lot of ways. I think he's better bad guy than Alpha. She was the cult leader, but he's more frightening, more feral, and different enough from previous bad guys to be interesting. He's a threat, though he's going to have a hard time rallying the troops. I'm very curious to see how this plays out. Beta is just enormous. For one thing, I suspect he'll do some serious damage before they take him down. Speaking of Beta, we might as well shift gears and talk about the sad redemption of one Mary Gamma. But that is for another episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, and I will see you all in a bit. Goodbye.
Took you long enough.